Celebrating the 90th anniversary of the Newton da Costa and the 45th anniversary of PLI, the first interdisciplinary center of Unicamp, the São Paulo School of Advanced Science on Contemporary Logic, Rationality, and Information, sponsored by FAPESP, is promoted by the Center for Logic, Epistemology, and the History of Science, PLI, the University of Campinas, Unicamp, Brazil. The school aims at providing an overview of the state-of-art methodology and research on contemporary logic, featuring non-classical logics, rationality, and information. The program comprises 8 courses and 8 plenary talks by experts in each topic, as well as oral presentation, lab talks, and posters sectioned by the students. The event selected 100 fully funded participants, 50 grantees from all states of Brazil, and 50 international grantees. Funding includes airfare, medical insurance, accommodation, and meals throughout the 2 weeks. To compose the board of directors of this ceremony, we invite Professor Dr. Antônio José de Almeida Meireles, Rector of Unicamp. Dr. Jenny Mello, Scientific Director of FAPESP, Fundação de Amparo à Pesquisa do Estado de São Paulo. Dr. Ítala Maria Lofredo Otaviano, Academic Director of the São Paulo School of Advanced Science, SPLogIC2023. As an invitation of the authorities of this ceremony, we present Professor Dr. João Marcos Travassos Romano, Vice Rector for Research Affairs. Dr. Ana, Dr. Ana Carolina de Moura Delfim Maciel, Docentes, Coordenator. Professor Dr. Fábio Maia Bertato, Coordinator of PLI, Centro de Lógica, Epistemologia e História da Ciência da Unicamp. Professor Dr. Walter Carnieri, Chair of Advisory Committee of the School. Professor Dr. Luiz Henrique Lopes dos Santos, Adjunct Panel for Ethics and Research Integrity Programs. Professor Dr. Ricardo Miranda Martins, Director of Mathematics Institute. The following authorities justify the absence. Professor Dr. Fernando Antônio Coelho, Vice Rector of Institute and Culture Affairs. Professor Dr. Raquel Meneghello, Vice Rector for Graduate Affairs. Professor Ivan Toro, Vice Rector of Undergraduate, and Professor, all of them doctors, Maria Silvia Gatti, President of the Association of Teachers. We invite now Professor Ítala Otaviano to speak.
Dear Rector of the University of Campinas, Professor Tom Zé, Professor Luiz Eugênio Melo, Scientific Director of São Paulo Research Foundation, FAPESP. Dear Professor Luiz Henrique Lopes dos Santos, Adjunct Panel for Ethics and Research Integrity of FAPESP. Professor Fábio Bertato, the Director of CLE. Professor Roberto Romano, Prorector for Research Affairs of Unicamp, on whose behalf I salute the other members of this extended table. The São Paulo School of Advanced Science on Contemporary Logic, Rationality and Information, SPLogIC, promoted by the Center for Logic, Epistemology and the History of Science of the University of Campinas, celebrates the 90th anniversary and beyond of Professor Newton da Costa and the 45 years of CLE. The program of the school comprises 8 courses and 8 plenary talks, as well as oral presentations and a posters session conducted by the students, totalizing 103 hours of mandatory activities during 14 days. The SPLogIC, funded by the São Paulo Research Foundation, FAPESP, aims to provide an overview of the state-of-the-art methodology and research on contemporary logic, featuring non-classical logics, rationality, and information. We received applications from more than 250 students from all over Brazil and almost 50 countries of all continents, among undergraduate and graduate students and postdoctoral fellows. We have here now students from several states of Brazil, from the 3 Americas, from Europe, India, Iran, Australia, Korea, Japan, China, New Zealand, Israel, and Africa. Of the 108 fully funded students, 32 will present their research projects in the LED talks, we call it this, Logic, Entertainment, and Design talks, in oral presentations of 15 minutes each. The other students will present their research projects in the posters session. It is also scheduled a visit to the Brazilian Center for Research in Energy and Materials, CNP, and the Brazilian Synchrotron Light Laboratory, national Brazilian laboratories which are close to Unicamp and international references. In addition to the invited speakers and the fully funded students, we are also receiving some fellow professors from Brazil and other countries, and a few non-funded students who will also present their research projects in the posters session. We will have cultural activities, a movie session, Brazilian music, and a social barbecue. Newton Carneiro Afonso da Costa knew how to crystallize in a series of consistent logical calculations the power of contradictory reasoning in science and philosophy. Designed between 1954 and 1958, his paraconsistent calculi show mathematically that contradictions can be maintained on theories and contests that express rational knowledge. Working independently of other contemporary logicians, his calculi were the first to have the format needed for processing the contradictions that the new science, together with the old philosophy, would need. Half a century later, not only the logical and philosophical debate, but the theory of information, linguistics, quantum physics, and psychoanalysis, among others, use such intellectual tools. Da Costa received several awards and titles during his career, including the title of Emeritus Professor of Unicamp. The magnitude and impact of Da Costa's work made him one of the most cited Brazilian scientists. His creative and innovative work and his unquestionable academic leadership ennobled Brazilian philosophy and science, having been crucial to the emergence of an internationally recognized Brazilian school of persistent logic. Da Costa is one of the founding members of CLE. He could not come to participate in this school, but he sent us a cordial greetings that we will present at the end of this ceremony. The Center for Logic, Epistemology, and the History of Science, the first interdisciplinary center of Unicamp, was created in 1977 at the University of Campinas. Professor Luiz Henrique Lopes dos Santos, who honors us with his presence, was also one of the founding members of CLE, and he was the first vice director of CLE. Thank you for coming. CLE constituted the first interdisciplinary academic institution in its areas of research in Brazil and possibly in the whole of Latin America. Currently, it has over 100 members, including researchers from Unicamp and other Brazilian, American, and European universities. In the years that followed, CLE brought together numerous scholars and graduated many students who are today engaged in teaching and research. CLE fomented the logical research in the country, in Brazil, in a way that was unique and unprecedented in Brazilian academic history. I would like to thank FAPESP for the approval of SPLogIC and for all the academic and financial support. I thank Unicamp, the rector and prorectors for their unrestricted support to the organization of the school. I thank COSEN, the Coordination of Interdisciplinary Center of Unicamp. I thank the University's Docent Association, Casa do Professor Visitante, the hotel where you are hosted, to the secretary, special secretary, no, Secretaria Especial de Comunicação, não é especial.
Executivo.
The Executive Secretary of Communication of Unicamp, who is here helping us, and to the colleagues for their collaboration. We also thank for the Association for Symbolic Logic and to the Brazilian Logic Society for their support. I thank especially the tireless staff members of CLE, whom I will opportunely name one by one for their dedication and invaluable support. Also our students from Unicamp, they are all in red t-shirts, who are participating in the event and who will be the hosts of the foreign students. We have prepared the SPLogIC with a lot of care so that, in addition to the educational and academic quality of the school, we may enjoy a fraternal, inclusive, pleasant, harmonic, and constructive environment. I consider that the present state of persistent logic attests to a significant improvement and maturity. The development of persistent logic has originated important philosophical problems, has opened several research areas, and has propitiated the solution of important questions of the foundations of science. Perconsistency has become a field of knowledge interrelating distinct schools of persistent logic, and there are applications of persistent logic not only to the foundations of science and its philosophical analysis, but even to computing and technology. As I see it, among our most pressing challenges are the possible contribution of the persistent approach to the analysis of the impacts of information technologies in philosophy, arts, and science, the study of the impacts of digital technologies, the internet revolution, and the computational ubiquity in education and society, and the study of complex cybernetic systems. Among the most urgent expected results, I hope we may contribute to the analysis of the so-called fake news and their impacts on society, as well as the analysis of the so-called big data and the ethical questions and impacts in science and society involved. But what is our greater challenge in these tough times humanity goes through? I believe that, above everything, we should be all strongly committed to the fight for truth, the love and respect for science, the unrelenting search for truth, the fight for justice and peace in the world. With our experience in the study of consistency and non-classical logic in general, we should live this school of logic as living examples of acceptance and respect for diversity, whether the diversity of genders, diversity of ethnicities, diversity of religious beliefs, and overall diversity of ideas. Nós estamos muito felizes aqui na Unicamp em poder recebê-los a todos, estudantes de tantos países, de todos os continentes. E esperamos que a Escola de Lógica corresponda à expectativa de todos nós. We are very happy to be able to welcome everyone at Unicamp as a big family of logicians. We thank you for your participation, and we look forward to this logic school being able to correspond to the best expectations. Welcome everyone, and as of now, we rejoice in the fruits of these advanced schools. Obrigada. Thank you.
To present you Universidade Estadual de Campinas, na fila, please.
A university in tune with the times. A leader in innovation and research. That foresees a future of opportunities and fully embraces the commitment to serve society. Unicamp is a public and free university that is funded by taxes through the government of São Paulo State. Since its inauguration in 1966, Unicamp has excelled as one of the main universities in Brazil, recognized as one of the most important universities of Latin America by rankings of global reputation. Located in the city of Campinas, about 100 kilometers from the state capital, São Paulo, its main campus covers an area of about 3.9 million square meters. The majority of its teaching and research units are located in this campus, covering all areas of knowledge. Unicamp is also present in other cities of the region with its venue. Applied Sciences and Technology Schools. As as well as the Center for Chemical, Biological, and Agricultural Research. Unicamp also maintains two high schools, Cutuca and Cotil, offering a variety of technical courses. Every year, over 5,000 students conclude their studies, around half of them earning graduate degrees. We're responsible for 8% of all academic research developed in Brazil. Inova is Unicamp's agency dedicated to technological innovation. In operation since 2003, this agency promotes partnerships, simplifying processes to minimize bureaucracy, and acting to protect and license intellectual property and foster cutting-edge entrepreneurship. Unicamp is also a leader in technological transfer in Brazil through its cooperation agreements with the industry sector. Another reason for the university's strong presence in the private sector are the almost 1,300 daughter companies originating from its members. The scientific and technological park managed by Inova houses startups, incubated companies, and R&D labs which maintain a close relationship with the university. Inova is located inside the International Hub for Sustainable Development, an intelligent district model created in partnership by Unicamp, the Campinas municipal government, and 12 other surrounding institutions for the advancement of UN's 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. This hub covers an area of about 11 million square meters. Environmental restoration and the creation of ecological corridors for animals are part of the hub's master plan. Sustainability is also the focus of an ongoing program at Unicamp. The Sustainable Campus Program, in partnership with Companhia Paulista de Força e Luz, a major electric utility company, aims at establishing a model for energy management and efficiency that could be replicated in other universities. Already in the late 1970s, Unicamp was one of the first Brazilian universities to create interdisciplinary research centers. Today, 21 such centers, covering a broad range of subjects, employ around 700 dedicated professionals. The healthcare area houses a complex involving several hospitals along with supporting units. Together with the medical sciences, it performs teaching, research, assistance, and outreach activities. The main clinics hospital, wholly publicly funded, serves a region of over 7 million people. It is a reference hospital for 47 medical specialties and the largest transplant center of São Paulo State's interior. The inclusion of people with special needs and social and ethnic racial inclusion are main concerns for the university. Unicamp was the first to have an executive director for human rights. Having refugees in mind, it is also part of the United Nations Sérgio Vieira de Mello chair. The access to undergraduate courses has been made easier for vulnerable students with alternative entrance selection processes. There is a notable transformation in the profile of the students attending the university. Special Indigenous entrance examination has increased diversity among the student population, also fostering contact of the academic community with ancestral knowledge. Unicamp is a university that respects diversity. It is a university always open to the plurality of actions and ideas.
We invite Professor Walter Carnieri, Chair of the Advisory Committee of this group, to speak.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll be very, very quick, very brief. I would like to welcome you all to our school. I think Professor Rita has said everything already. I endorse her words. I just would like to tell you two important things. One is that we are going to take some interviews during these 2 weeks here, and two different kinds of interviews. One interview is directed towards foreign colleagues, and they are going to make a series that you are going to call Foreign Look, right? Olhar estrangeiro, foreign look towards our institution and our discipline, towards para consistent logic as well. And a second series of interviews, we are going to be interviewing everyone, all the foreign and Brazilian professors. And then it will be kind of more specific, more philosophical, more dedicated to internal subjects like questions on logic and foundations of mathematics, computer science, artificial intelligence, logic, and all. And then these interviews are going to be available in two different vehicles, I mean, in Unicamp portals, journals, etc., and also in our internal play series of social media. Okay, that's all I'd like to say. I'd like to say welcome again. Thank you.
Invite now Professor Luiz Henrique Lopes dos Santos, Adjunct Fellow for Ethics and Research in Service Program.
Thank you. I will be very brief. I'm very proud to be here. Modesty is not a virtue that the Lord has given. So I'm very proud to be one of the founders of Center of Logic and Technology, half a century ago, almost. I am very proud to have spent half of my life working for a capacity to support this meeting. And I am very proud to have been educated in logic and philosophy by Professor Newton da Costa. So I have three reasons of proud, and I would like to welcome you. Thank you.
We invite now Professor Pablo Maia Betado to speak.
Thank you. Olá a todos. I would like to offer my most respectful regards to the magnificent rector and other authorities colleagues, students, and dear friends. As the director of the Center for Logic, Epistemology, and the History of Science, CLE, as we say in Portuguese, I would like to welcome you all to the SPLogIC, the São Paulo School of Advanced Science in Contemporary Logic, Rationality, and Information. I would like to thank APESP, the São Paulo Research Foundation, and Unicamp, the State University of Campinas, whose support made this event possible. On this occasion, we celebrate the 90th birthday of Professor Newton da Costa, a Brazilian logician whose contributions to the expansion of philosophical and scientific knowledge are very, very remarkable, among which his contributions to logic naturally stand out. Being one of the main founders of non-classical logic and considered by us the father of the paraconsistent logic. We are also celebrating the 40th anniversary of CLE, and for this reason, I would like to share with you some considerations about our center. The Center for Logic, Epistemology, and the History of Science, as highlighted by Professor Itola, has existed de facto since February 1976, although its legal creation was only experienced on April 4, 1977. It is the first university institution of interdisciplinary nature in the areas of logic, epistemology, and the history of science, created in Brazil and possibly in Latin America, aiming to bring together researchers and students from the various branches of scientific and philosophical knowledge in a common program. CLE currently has about 100 members, including professors and researchers from various institutes and faculties of Unicamp and other Brazilian and foreign universities. CLE maintains an intense academic exchange with researchers and institutions from Brazil and abroad, regularly organizes training and scientific meetings, coordinates research projects, provides courses and supervision for undergraduate and graduate students, maintains a bibliographic and document collection that provides support to researchers and students, and promotes journals and book publications. In addition, CLE supports important scientific societies, such as the Brazilian Society of Logic, the Brazilian Society of the History of Mathematics, and the Brazilian Kant Society, among others. The CLE Archives was conceived as a space to provide infrastructure to support research and researcher training and the history of science and other subjects. Consolidated today, it has around 18,000 documents. CLE's library has an excellent collection consisting of various bibliographic materials in the areas of classical logic, contemporary logic, mathematics, epistemology, and the history of science. In addition, our library contains microforms of rare works, as well as many works in other media. The catalog of our publications is divided in 5 initiatives. Manuscrito, an international journal, published articles on a wide range of philosophical topics, especially in the areas of history of philosophy, philosophy of language, philosophy of formal sciences, epistemology, ethics, aesthetics, political philosophy, and philosophy of mind. Coleção CLE is a collection of books with 3 annual volumes, which brings the publication of original research, monographies, and theses in the areas of logic, epistemology, methodology, and the history of science. Cadernos de História e Filosofia da Ciência Formal, a journal on history and philosophy of science, publishes original articles concerning the most central themes of philosophical, methodological, and historical reflection on science, and commented translations of important historical texts. it is suspended at the moment for editorial reformulation. CLE e-Prints publishes papers in the areas of logic, epistemology, and history of science. Kant e-Prints is a quarterly journal dedicated to Kant's philosophy, constituted by the Campinas section of the Brazilian Kant Society and linked to CLE. These are some achievements of CLE. The CLE building is close to the university restaurant, and you all are invited to visit us, especially to discover our library, a very nice library. I greet all those responsible for organizing this event, in special in the names of Professor Ítala D'Ottaviano and Professor Walter Carnielli, and I wish you success. In conclusion, I wish you all an excellent event and a good stay in Campinas. Welcome again, sejam todos muito bem-vindos. Obrigado. Thank you.
Invite now Dr. Ana Carolina de Moura Delfim Maciel to speak.
Good afternoon to the Dean of Unicamp, Professor Antônio José de Almeida Meirelles, academic deans of SPLogIC, Professor Ítala D'Ottaviano e Professor Walter Carnielli, coordinator of the CLE, Professor Fábio Betato, Professor Emeritus Professor Nilson da Costa, and Director of the São Paulo Research Foundation, Professor Luiz Eugênio de Mello. On their behalf, I greet other authorities, guests, audience, and all the students who were selected for this summer school. I speak here today as the coordinator of the Coordination of Interdisciplinary Research Centers and Nuclei of Unicamp, COSEN Unicamp, which includes 21 research centers of Unicamp, which stems ranging from logic and epistemology of science, as the case of the CLE, responsible for this event, to biomedicine and music, from nanotechnology to public policy, from drama to energy research, just to give you an idea of the complexity we deal with. And so it is up to COSEN to administrate, subsidize, and foster the research activities developed within the context of the centers and nuclei, a structure that currently has 700 individuals among researchers, teachers, and employees. By the way, COSEN was idealized and founded by Professor Ítala, to whom we owe the pioneering in this activity. And I, particularly, have the immense responsibility of succeeding her in this coordination. I hope to be able to do that. Thank you. No, I didn't finish yet. It has never been so important to disseminate Brazilian science. The summer school will enable a fruitful experience for 107 students from Brazil and other countries, further reinforcing the mission of our university. A message to the students here present. I joined Unicamp as an undergrad student in 1991. I thought it would be a brief passage, and it has already lasted a few decades. I won't say how many. You can do the math. Professor Ítala always says that logic operates as a bridge between sciences. I hope that during the next few weeks, we will have many bridges as a result. After all, science should have no borders or boundaries. I wish you an excellent season of activities in our beautiful university campus. Today a little bit rainy, but anyway. And now I give the floor to the ceremonialist. Thank you, muito obrigada, welcome.
We invite now Professor João Marcos Cavados Romano to speak.
Good evening, and welcome to São Paulo School of Advanced Science on Contemporary Logic, Rationality, and Information. SPLogIC, okay, or SPLogIC?
SPLogIC.
With a French accent. Better for me. So I would like to.
French accent.
I would like to greet Professor Antônio Meireles, our dean, Professor Luiz Melo, Scientific Director of FAPESP, our hostess, Professor Italo Ottaviani, the chair of this school. And also my colleagues in the same line of this school, Fábio Ricardo, Ana Maciel, Walter Carnieri, and the Professor Luiz Henrique Lopes dos Santos. I have a pleasure to know you just this afternoon. So it's a pleasure to have you here. So, just a quick speech, and maybe I repeat a little bit my colleagues, but the Advanced School celebrates as you heard, the 90th birthday. Actually, the 91st and 92nd also.
Third. Now third.
Of Professor Newton da Costa, as well as the 45 years of the Center for Logic, Epistemology, and the History of Philosophy, our great. It's therefore for me really a great honor to be present on this day as the Vice President for Research of Unicamp. I was looking at the topics to be covered at this event, and I stopped at just the first one. It was not the case of going into too much depth for a brief speech, and it would be risky. But I stopped on history and philosophy of paraconsistent logics. And I began to do a search, modestly and curiously, on the subject. And I can say that I was not surprised, but I was really impressed by the amount of research resulting from Professor Newton da Costa's seminal work, as well as the great international reputation in this area. For example, in the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, we can read, paraconsistent logics were developed especially by Newton da Costa in their doctoral dissertation in 1963. And later they say, an active group of logicians has been researching paraconsistent logic continuously ever since, especially in Campinas and São Paulo, Brazil, with a focus on logics of formal inconsistency. I guess they are talking about Clear, mainly. And the text goes on, and I see familiar names like Professor Carnieri, Professor Conigio, and of course, Professor Italo Lufredo, our dear hostess of this wonderful event. So, Italo, I don't know, I'm not expected to talk much here, and certainly I'm not the most suitable person in this room to talk about paraconsistent logic or any other topics that will be discussed here. What I would like to say is that you can count on the support of the research vice president for everything along these days, everything that would be needed to help this event. And I am very, very proud to see this event happen. We have here excellent organizing committee coming from different institutions, an international advisory committee of the highest level, and above all, participants from all continents. So I do congratulate Greg, the person of its director, Professor Dr. Fábio Petar, to all those who contributed to the realization of this event, to FAPESP, the organizing committee, the advisory committee, the executive secretariat, and the support team. And I congratulate all of them in your name, Itala. Congratulations, you made it happen. Professor Nilton da Costa is certainly very happy and grateful to have you as a very special, I can say, as his dearest collaborator of his academic life.
We invite now Professor Luiz Eugênio Melo to speak. Não, não é aula.
Just welcome. So it's a great pleasure being here. Given this just a welcome announcement, I'm pleased to be here at Unicamp once again. This might be the university to which I came most during my time as scientific director at FAPESP. I especially thank Professor Itala Dottaviano for organizing this event, and on her behalf, all of the professors and researchers and students at the CLE, the Center for Logic and Epistemology. I also salute, of course, Rector Antônio José de Almeida Meirelles, and on his behalf, all of the researchers and the technical people, the communications people, always in charge of, let's say, setting these activities. And I also salute Professor Luiz Henrique Lopes dos Santos, and on his behalf, all of the support on assessing and analyzing proposals such as the one that was funded by FAPESP. So with that, I pass the word again back to the host of ceremony.
We close this session. We will have now a pronunciation from Professor Nilton Carneiro Afonso da Costa, mathematician, philosopher, and logician, recognized mainly for the creation of paraconsistent logic.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to have this meeting related, in fact, to my own work. In fact, the subjects to which the present Congress is devoted are all connected with my work in the area of logic and the foundation of the exact science. So I am very happy to this Congress evening celebrated. Moreover, it is important to note that this meeting is sponsored by the University of Campinas through its Center of Logic. I would like to thank all of you for your presence, in particular, Itala Dottaviano, who was the main stand behind the realization of this meeting. My thanks to all of you. Cordially, Nilton da Costa.
Nilton da Costa is very well. He lives in Florianópolis. I asked him several times to come. He wanted to come, but his family didn't allow him to come. They worry about COVID and problems. They are taking care of him. But last December, he participated in an event at the philosophy department of the Federal University of Santa Catarina, and he delivered a talk, very beautiful, 2 months ago. And so I'm happy because he's well, but we would like that he could be here. Okay?
We invite Professor Antônio José de Almeida Meirelles, Rector of Unicamp, to welcome everyone.
Thank you. So, good evening to everyone. It's a pleasure for us and honor to welcome you to the University of Campinas. I'd like especially to congratulate Professor Ítala, Professor Walter Carnielli, Professor Luiz Henrique, also our scientific director of APESP, Professor Luiz Eugênio, Professor João Romano, Ana Carolina, and Fábio. Okay. I am aware that many of you have traveled a long distance to be here today, and thank you for coming. We are very glad to have you with us. I am also pleased to welcome all the speakers and participants in this São Paulo School of Advanced Science. Rationality, information, and logic are very interesting subjects. I may add, I am an engineer, process engineer, information, Newton da Costa, is a civil engineer, yeah, that then migrate mathematics and to logic. So as long as I know, but I have also some interest in those subjects. I have read 2 books of Newton da Costa in Portuguese, the scientific knowledge, and also inductive logic and probability. So I am sure that the subject of the event is very fascinating. Unfortunately, I cannot take part in the event, so the schedule and commitments of a rector are very tight. Tomorrow I will fly to Salvador and then to Brazil, and the next 2 days later. But also as academic, I have some formation in economics. So part of my interest was also in logic. I have read the John Maynard Keynes' treatise on probability, and also the interest in bounded rationality. People that don't believe that the future is certain, yeah? That believe that this uncertainty is a feature of our society. That interest in how people decide, how is our rationality constrained by the uncertainty of the future. So just to point some interest, unfortunately, I cannot stay the meeting, although I think the subject is very fascinating. I'd like to say that for us, we are proud, as you have seen, proud of our university, but we also proud of having Newton da Costa as our professor emeritus. So it's very important for us to use this opportunity to commemorate, celebrate his 90th birthday, and also the 45th anniversary of the Center for Logic and Epistemology. What can I say? Also, I would like to congratulate the organizers. They have been able to gather 19 outstanding speakers and more than 150 students from 40 different nationalities to discuss the state of art in methodology and research and logic, rationality, and information. I'd like to congratulate them, Professor Itala, Professor Walter Carnieri, for being able to organize this meeting. I'd like to motivate, before I end this welcome speech, to motivate you to go to CNPq, the Center for Research Materials and Energy, and our synchrotron facility. It's really a very impressive visit. Be sure, as we are proud of our university, we are also proud to have here, very close to us, institution for research with this magnitude, very important for the Brazilian science. On behalf of the Unicamp academic community, I welcome you once more to our university, and I wish you all have a pleasant stay, fruitful discussions for the next 2 weeks, honoring the memory and legacy of our great Professor Emeritus Newton da Costa. Thank you for your attention and have a nice meeting.